Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Matchbook Horse Racing podcast. But it's not any podcast this week because it's time for our Cheltenham Preview Night. It's 5:30. We're a couple of weeks and a day out from the best 4 days in racing. Sorry, Matt Toombs. I know you're a massive Royal Ascot fan, but that's 5 days, so that doesn't count. It is the Cheltenham Preview, the Matchbook Cheltenham Preview. Before my usual spiel about competitions and liking and subscribing, let me introduce the team. It's a bumper team and a stellar team as well, amassed for you this year. Some of our regulars, Matt Toombs, Donn McClean, Charlie Poste, Dan Overall, Lee Gibson are with us. And also I want to introduce Emma Nagle and Michael Cannon. Emma, first of all, welcome along from Irish Racing. How much are you looking forward to Cheltenham? That's a silly question.
Yeah, no, it's kind of creeping up. We were kind of talking about it all year long, but hard to believe it's, not too far away now. Yeah, delighted to be on Matchbook for the first time. A great panel. We're looking forward to get stuck into the race, I suppose.
Welcome along. Feel free to be as punchy with the team as you like. If anyone's talking rubbish, which will happen, feel free to call them out. Michael Cannon, on-course bookie, how are you? I don't know what number Cheltenham this is, but you'll be back with a couple of pictures again this year.
Yeah, evening, Tom. Evening, everybody. Yes, it's a pleasure to be involved with you tonight. Yeah, Cheltenham, it's the same every year. Always looking forward to it. And on the Friday evening, always glad when it's finished. No, I'll be there for God knows how many years, but I'll be in the Tats and the Rails area this year. Looking forward to some brisk business.
And Michael will be providing you with predominantly lays throughout the. Obviously, you can lay on Matchbook, and we will have our best lays section at the end of each day. But Michael will be providing with lots of horses that he wants to take on with the bookmaker angle. We thought that'd be a nice angle for you throughout the preview. So do like and subscribe. We've got to 6,000. Calm down, everyone. I know, but that was a huge moment. But do like and subscribe. I say this all the time, but it really is the best no-cost way of supporting all of our content across all of the podcasts. Insights.matchbook.com will be where you can have a full recap of all the best bets. The first one that we will have one going up each and every day, but for this, head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the best bets for our anti-post preview. Now, for the competition, there's a £25 free bet, a free Cheltenham bet competition. You just like the video and comment anything you like once we've finished recording live or during. And the funniest comment or the best comment, whatever we pick out on the night, will win a £25 free bet. So that's how you're going to get yourself a £25 free bet. Just comment away anything we think is particularly good. You get a £25 free bet. There will be another preview, the Cheltenham Handicaps preview show next week. So tomorrow is the handicap weights, and that's from Cheltenham Racecourse itself. And then we'll have a handicaps preview show tomorrow. We'll cover them at the end of each day tonight. Matchbook Cheltenham Trail, 2 episodes next week instead of tomorrow. So there's a bumper episode next week ahead of the festival. And also there's up to £100 welcome offer. Sign up to Matchbook today with the code GET100 and you can have up to £100 bet as a welcome offer. All the T's and C's are there. I'm not going to read all of it out, but it's simple as that. Go to matchbook.com for all of those T's and C's and get your £100 welcome offer free bet. There you go. Right. Let's go in. So we're going to launch with a feature race each day. We're not going to start with the Supreme on the Tuesday. We're going to start with the Champion Hurdle. That is now at 4:00. With a few changes to the festival programme this year. As ever, we're going to start with a trend. Matt Toombs, take it away. I don't know how Constitution Hill confuses this or not, but take it away and then tell me your bet, please.
Well, he does, because trends are based on normal renewals of a race, and there's nothing normal about Constitution Hill. You shouldn't use trends unless you think that the race is going to develop in a roughly typical way. Occasionally it doesn't. This is one of them. Looks like we're going to get the big guns lining up here increasingly. Lossymouth, I'm fairly confident she's going to run. The vibes are getting better about brighter days ahead. So I think, particularly on the day, Constitution Hill is going to be a cracking bet. We're currently about 1.90. And this is about one of the greatest hurdlers ever. Some would argue the greatest. And we're getting that price because there are lots of pundits and punters out there who are focusing on the form of his 3 runs over the last 2 seasons, pointing out the bare form is about a stone below his Champion Hurdle winning form. Now, that's true, and perhaps he's nothing like the same horse now, but I'm focusing on the Nicky Henderson factor. I don't think Constitution Hill has been anywhere close to being fit for his 2 wins so far this season. Paddock judges have said he's been carrying lots of condition, yet a race-fit Lossymouth couldn't lay a glove on him at Kempton. And when you're in with an all-time great, they can be a fair way below their best and still win. You know, after much more serious issues with Hart, being 3 years later, not two, Sprinter Sacre was a stone below his best on Racing Post ratings, 176 to 190, still good enough to beat Underso. Some may remember See You Then, or as he was nicknamed, See You When. After he won his first champion hurdle, went to Italy, got jarred up on quick ground, tendon problems after that. Following year, he ran just once, Sandown in February, won his second champion hurdle. Year after that, his only run was 11 days before the festival, and he still won. Binocular went home to Martinstown, came back, still won. Never underestimate Nicky's ability to get a horse to win at the festival off a troubled prep. Now, all the time the vibes are good, and I'll be listening carefully to the vibes, but all the time they're good, I'm confident Constitution Hill is going to win and win easily. So I expect to be backing him on the day.
Come in, on-course bookmaker, Michael Cannon.
Well, I mean, I listen to all the trends and I watch them, but I like to play with my eyes and value. And I don't see it. I mean, I was there March 22 when he won the Supreme, and I'd have to say probably the greatest performance by a novice hurdler we've ever seen. But that said, since then, and I know you can only beat what is put in front of you before someone starts saying it, he's basically done about 5 or 6 workouts, paid public workouts. And obviously something was very wrong with him to not run in the champion hurdle last year. And what he's done in the past is almost irrelevant to me. Until I know he's the same horse again, I have to price him up on what I've seen with my own eyes since he has come back from injury. And yes, obviously, I wouldn't have expected him to be anywhere near 100% fit at Kempton for the Christmas hurdle. And Lossiemouth, well, you know, whether you think Lossiemouth can beat Constitution Hill or not, the horse is obviously a lot better, or she's a lot better at Cheltenham than she could have been at Kempton. And Burdett Road walked through the last hurdle and got beat 9 lengths. Now, Nicky's not going to send Constitution Hill there less than 90% fit, surely. And then last time, the workout, the paid workout at Cheltenham in the Unibet hurdle beat 4 sheep, no offence. But, you know, I don't understand what that was all about, because why, if I was Nico, not that I've ever ridden a horse, why would you not take the opportunity, once Hill's jumped the second last, just give him a little shake of the reins and see what's under the bonnet, because there's no logical reason to not do it. But he just sat there, asked him for a ridiculous jump at the last, the horse saved him, and obviously the horse won hard held. Now, I hope that brighter days ahead, and it looks almost certain Lossiemouth's going to turn up. And everyone seems to have forgot about State Man. I'm not suggesting State Man could win the champion hurdle, but he is a champion hurdle winner. And if you're betting odds on, you need all the ticks in all the right boxes. And I can see a few boxes not ticked here. And looking at that graphic, if they all turn up, Constitution Hill is going to be odds against. Now, it may well be at 4:15 on Tuesday, everyone's throwing the papers in the air saying that was the greatest even money chance of all time. But you have to price up everything in its way that it may or may not turn out. And for me, I'm happy to pay if I'm wrong. Laying even money, Constitution Hill, if those 4 horses turn up, to me, represents decent value.
And currently 1.88, as you saw there, around about 10 to 11 in fraction terms. Let's get an angle on a different horse before we come back in with the Constitution Hills. Donn McClean.
Yeah, look, it's it could be a hell of a champion hurdle. This, if Brighter Days Ahead runs, I think she's the key, and the vibe seems to be that it's kind of going the way that this is maybe the race in which she'll run, rather than the Mare's hurdle. You'd love to see it, because, as the lad said, it looks like Lossiemouth is going to run all right. State Man's going to be there, the reigning champion hurdler, and Brighter Days Ahead, if she runs and with Constitution Hill, those 4, that's a hell of a champion hurdle. I mean, the fact that State Man is 11.5 or 12.0, that tells you how good a race it is. And Brighter Days Ahead, like, I just don't think we know how good she is. She's only been beaten once. She's 2 for 2 in bumpers, 7 for 8 over hurdles, and her one defeat was in the Mares Novices hurdle last season when they went to really sedate pace. It didn't suit her. Her performance in winning at Leopardstown last time, that was a phenomenal performance. It's all been talked about and analysed since. The pace they went early on. She was the only winner at the meeting in which her finishing speed percent was lower than 100%. So that shows you how fast they went early on. And she continued that gallop. She beat Winter Fog and State Man by 30 lengths. Okay, State Man wasn't at his best, but we just don't know how good she can be. She's only 6. And I just think that getting £7 from Constitution Hill and everything else in the race, I think she's a massive player in the race. And as Michael says, you can see her, if she is confirmed for the race by Gordon Elliott and Jigginstown, she's going to probably contract in odds. I wouldn't be backing her yet at all in anti-post odds. I just wait to see what Gordon says, and we're going to know that she's going for whatever race she's going for before declaration. So you can still back her anti-post after Gordon Elliott says which race she's going for. And if it is the Champion Hurdle, then yeah, I think she's a massive player.
Emma, you're in agreement with Dom?
Yeah, I think Donn kind of made a similar case as I was going to make, and I agree with Michael. Might be foolish saying it after he wins if he goes off even money, but I kind of yet to see that Constitution Hill is maybe as good as he once was. Look, he could come out and blow us all away on the day, but just that defeat at last amount. Look, you can forgive him. He was off a long time, but she got within 2.5 lengths of him. She got him to get Nagle to give him a slap behind the saddle, and you'd have to say last amount maybe didn't perform to her best that day either. But I think Donn has probably made the case for better days ahead already. I just think, probably one that we don't know how good she is. If she can replicate that performance she made in Leopardstown, it's going to be very, very hard to pass her. People have been kind of comparing it to maybe the Supreme, like it might set it up for Constitution Hill, when Dysart Dynamo and John Bon kind of cut each other's throats a few years ago. But, is Constitution Hill still that same horse? I suppose it remains to be seen, but it's setting up to be a cracking race either way anyway.
All right, then, 3 of you back with Constitution Hill, Dan, Lee and Charlie. Dan, first of all, what do you want to add to what Matt said?
Well, not all that much. I think he made a superb case, and obviously a lot of the talk is around, is Constitution Hill the same horse? And ultimately, I don't think we're going to know until he faces rivals that are going to challenge him. And arguably, for as much as you can say Lucknow didn't exactly go at Kempton, I'd still beat her fairly comfortably. And I don't think, no matter how this race pans out tactically, I think he has all the tools to cope with it. If it's a strong pace, he's proven off the back of that. Obviously, the Supreme being the primary example. I still think he's the highest cruising speed in this race. So if it turns into a relative test of speed, bearing in mind Bright Days Ahead got beaten last year in the Mayor's Novice in what turned into a relative speed test, I think he has the upper hand there. He's the slickest jumper by a mile, bar that last error in the International as well. And bearing in mind Bright Days Ahead as well has had her jumping frailties in the past. So until I see clear evidence that he isn't the horse he is, and I haven't seen anything to suggest that, I'd be sticking with him. And because of the way this race is panning out, he's turning out to be a very good price.
Lee, Charlie, I only want one of you. So who's more confident? Just jump in. Whoever speaks first.
Look, I'm with the lads, and I'm kind of totally against what Michael says. I'm glad that we haven't seen another bonnet yet. I have no reason to kind of show your hand. You just done that piece of work, and I think that was a good prep enough. And look, Brighter Days Ahead should beat nothing in that race the last day, because Winterfog was second, Stateman was never at the races, and I think you put a line through him. So yeah, like the lad says, I'm happy to weigh in at the prices.
Okay, and there's a theory that it might go up bigger on the day, as Michael says as well, maybe around about even money. We'll see, 2.0. Right. That is the Champion Hurdle, and I'm more excited about it now than I was beforehand. Supreme Novices Hurdle. Let's give you the prices first of all, and Charlie, I'll come to you first. Kopek de Boer was obviously massively impressive at the Dublin Racing Festival. Is 1.9. Romeo Coolio is 8.4. Salvatore Mundi is 9.2. Work Ahead 11.5. Charlie, not the favourite.
Yeah, Romeo Coolio for me. Look, I've got massive respect for Kopek de Boer. He looks an outstanding talent. I think there's maybe a slight question mark about his temperament. Will he get very revved up in the environment at the festival? I mean, how much you buy into that? Again, you can, but he is trading at odds on. I just think at the prices, I'd rather play with Romeo Coolio at 6.0. He was second the champion bumper last year. He's a Grade 1 winner as a novice, and yes, he doesn't probably have quite the same sort of sex appeal as the favourite does, but I think he's a pretty solid horse as well, and I think he can be ridden whichever way that they want to on the day. And yeah, just the prices, I just think he is the value where for all that the favourite could be a superstar and could be very, very good.
Addition to that, Don?
Yeah, all of that, as Charlie said. Look, Kopek de Boer, after he won at the Christmas Festival, having not jumped a hurdle, and there was always a chance that he could do something like he did at the Dublin Racing Festival if he jumped well, and he did exactly all of that, with the result that he's odds on. So an odds on shot for a Supreme Novices Hurdle, you're entitled to look for, I guess, look for value beyond him. And the one like thing that's not proven is how he's going to handle Cheltenham, Whereas we know that Romeo Coolio handles Cheltenham, as Charlie said. He finished second in the Champion Bumper last season. He went around the inside as well, probably on the worst of the ground. And this season, he was really impressed with Donn Royal. When he got beaten in the Royal Bond Hurdle, I was kind of thinking it was disappointing. That's as good as he is, but it wasn't. He came out then last time at Leopardstown. He beat Blue Devassi impressively, ridden a wee bit more aggressively, and Gordon Elliott has put him away after that, skipped the Dublin Racing Festival, going to Cheltenham, a fresh horse at a track at which he's proven under Cheltenham Festival conditions. And yeah, I think he should be a wee bit closer to the favourite in the market than he is.
All right, Matt, I'll bring you in here just on, I know your trend isn't going to look at experience. Is that just not such a thing anymore? And I see you're looking away from the favourite anyway.
Absolutely, Tom. I think when you had bigger fields and faster ground, the experience in the hurly-burly of a Supreme was an important thing. Now we've got much smaller fields, and I don't think we're necessarily going to get a very big field again here. So I'm less worried about that. I'm going with work ahead. More looking now, because of that factor about experience being less important. The front three in the market, 12 from 45 the last 14 renewals, you can make a 52% profit backing them. So the days of 40-1 shots going in regularly here look to be something of the past. Workhead's just had 3 runs in his life and he's 7. So he does lack experience, has been a bit fragile. He was understandably ring rusty off 678 days off on his comeback. And that was his rules debut. Totally different proposition next time. Made all in a 2-mile Leopardstown maiden at Christmas. Very professional. Henry said afterwards, no intention of running him again. Doesn't need to. Form's worked out well. 7th second William Money won a Punshon listed hurdle the other day. He did settle better there, but even so, the 20-length third Sprinkler mare looks better over fences, won twice. Jacob's Ladder was beaten nearly a distance in 5th. He's won at Navan, then won a grade 3 yesterday. So the form looks good. And it could be that Workhead's just improving at a more rapid rate than some of his more experienced opponents like Romeo Coolio, Salvatore Mundi. It's more than 10 weeks since his last run. Horses improve at home too. So be listening to the vibes in the run up to the meeting. As has been said, if Kopek de Voorde takes the occasion, he sets a high bar. But if you fancy him, given the price he is now, I'd be watching him in the preliminaries with a view to backing him just before the off if he's taken it okay. I want to take him on anti-post. With Henry's horses starting to run into form again, I'm with work ahead.
Quickly, Trevor says, why do people always say at the price or value, I'd rather back an even money winner than a 7-1 loser? Well, that's fine, Trevor, but the point is value is what's going to make you a consistently winning punter. You can back as many even money shots as you like, but they might have been value at 7-1. You back it, it wins at 7-1. You've got to do that 7 times at even money. You need to be looking for value, in my opinion, if you want to be a consistently winning punter. It's as simple as that. Right, Kopek de Voorde. I'm surprised only 2 of you, Dan. I am.
Yeah, me too. I can't help. This feels like similar to the Appreciate It year, where we've seen a clear standout in my view, and almost is getting to the stage where everyone's trying to take him on. Fundamentally, that performance at the Dublin Racing Festival was above and beyond what anything else in this has achieved, and there's no reason why he doesn't have as much scope to progress as any of the others. Obviously, hurdling debut, his technique was very questionable, but he still managed to beat Cowabunga, who until recently was now the 3rd favourite for the Turners, unfortunately now ruled out. But the form of that worked out extremely well. And to do that, given his jumping frailties, was a testament to the engine he has. Obviously, then to go to the DRF and win in the manner he did, now rated 157 by the Irish handicapper. I think going back through the years, I think Duvan and Altior went into their Supremes rated 155. Shishkin was 153. So in the handicapper's view, he's already achieved far more than some of the more vintage Supreme winners we've seen in recent years. He's handled a variety of ground. He handled really testing ground when he won his bumper. And it was always a belief that this horse was going to be a top novice hurdler. He's trained by the perfect person to win the Supreme. I think, obviously, questions around the temperament, potentially so, but also I kind of feel that's maybe on the nitpicky side of things. Like, to me, this is the clear standout on form, plenty of scope for improvement. The word beforehand was backing up the idea that he'd be a top novice hurdler. I see no reason to oppose him.
Lee Gibson.
Yeah, same as Dan. I was actually at a preview with Patrick Mullins on the day of the Dublin Racing Festival. He says that the run beforehand, he just screwed at the first flight, and it set like a catalyst of bad errors on Hurdle's debut there. Obviously, come forward, look, the engine was clearly there, but powered through the lane. Good jump at the last. The form's working out from prior to that, like Dan said, Cowabunga beat William Money, who's come out and fairly bolted up since. Yeah, I think he's got the best form. I think the fly in, the ointment is work ahead, like Matt was saying as well, though. The form's working out very strongly from that race. Just a longer time between drinks, let's say, and you know, whether Henry's horses are quite back and firing, I'm unsure. But I think Kopek de Boer, who is my nap of the day, I might as well get it in now. I think on the Tuesday, I think he'll set off to a flyer.
Emma.
I wouldn't be massively against the favourite here. My only worry is, I think the lads have kind of touched on it. He's kind of temperament. I saw him in Leopardstown. Look, if I saw him, I won't be in Cheltenham on the Tuesday, but if I saw him on the TV walking around the parade ring like a lamb and hacking down to the start, I probably would be tempted to get stuck into him as well. But just in Leopardstown, he just seemed a little bit nervous, and like all the build-up to the triumph, the crowd will be on their toes, getting involved in it, and I just would be worried he would blow up at quite a short price. I think Salvatore Mundi is probably, after drifting out to what looks like very good value. At one stage, like, he was kind of the one everyone wanted to be with. People knocked him maybe for that Moscow Flyer win. To be honest, I wouldn't be as harsh as some people were. I know he was a bit keen and, you know, he jumped a bit slow, but I think, you know, in a stronger run race, he'll be a completely different horse. He kind of look maybe similar enough to Kopek de Boer. He can pull hard, but he does have the experience of being to Cheltenham before, which, you know, could stand him massively. Look, I presume Danny might ride him. Like, he could bounce out in front like he did in Tipperary that day. Obviously, it's going to be a totally different situation. But if he goes out in front and he settles and he gets into a rhythm, he has a fair turn of foot as well. And I just think, you know, at maybe an each way price, Salvatore Mundi could be a little bit forgotten about in here.
It's really good having a bookie on, because you just I like this. Right. Why are you against Kopek? And
Well,
like, how strong would this be against, say, a Constitution Hill?
Nowhere near as strong. I mean, Constitutional is basically my lay of the meeting, only because of the price, assuming obviously BDA turns up. But Kopek, I agree with basically everything that's already been said. Very impressive. Looked a cut above in the DRF, let's be honest. And I can't remember who said it, but I think nitpicking a little bit walking around the paddock, although there were plenty of people looking. You know, it's an amazing a day, and it must be quite an experience for young horses at the Cheltenham Festival. You know, I'm contractually obliged basically to stand Kopek because it's going to be odds on at the Cheltenham Festival. No, people have been shot for less, but I won't be going. It won't be a big lay. I'll hope to get it beat, but I think, in honesty, it's more in hope than anticipation. Of the others, I do like Romeo and Work Ahead, but you know, they've all got the chances to improve. But based on what we've seen so far, Kopek does look like a very strong favourite. The only thing I would say is, these horses do tend to get overbacked, especially the first race of the entire festival. People are looking at this as their banker, you know, and they could be crawling over broken glass to bet 4 to 5 minutes to the off. And if he wins, he wins. But like I say, I'll be against, but I won't be putting myself behind the 8 ball race 1.
Right, and then the Arkle, because we've got another short price Willie Mullins favourite now, for obvious reasons. He wouldn't have been, we know, but Madgeborough is in the Arkle at 1.73 from Lotus at 5.7, Jagger bet at 9.8, bigger prices. The rest, Madgeborough 1.73. Straight back at you, Michael. The same angle with Mullins horses over bet you'd be taking on?
I think I'd rather stand this for more than Kopek, if I'm honest. I didn't think the horse was foot perfect last time up. There's a couple of horses here that can certainly improve. You would argue that Matchbook might be a better horse over slightly further, and the Arkle tends to be run at, shall we say, a very strong pace. Hopefully they might get a decent field for a change, and that is obviously going to test the horse's jumping. I think I'd rather stand Matchbook. I'll certainly be standing Matchbook for more than I'll be standing Kopek.
All right, Matchbook supporters. Lee, first of all, you can mention your other as well.
Yeah, look, I know a few others like Matchbook. I'll kind of leave it to them, but I think Django Bay for a place is maybe he's wanting to take. Look, you're taking away that win part of it, but I think just outdone by handstands in a couple of races. Went over hurdles in the Sydney Banks, and also the last day at Sandown. I think they'll pigeonhole this horse into this race. I think there's a lot of dead wood in here. If they go hard, there's a couple of horses, Leo de Sud, Touch Me Not, who could be a pace angle in here. I think he might stay on into a place. He is a grade 1 form winner over a similar trip. So, yeah, I'm happy to take him for a place just because I think there's not much in behind their market leaders. I do think Mars will win. I was fine with the jump in the last day of the DRF. I think he'll be prominent as well. I did see that Willie Mullins said after the triumph, Mark Walsh did want to be up in the vanguard or at least leading. He wasn't able to get that, but the last day he had no problems with that. And yeah, Marshbat to win, but I'd take Django Bay for a place.
All right. Charlie, pick up off that. What do you want to add to Django?
The drop back in trip is interesting, especially if the ground is slow. You know, he travelled really strong at Sandown on his latest startup. I kind of thought it was one of those that Nico might have loved another go at it now, as in I thought he was a little bit of an unfortunate loser, in all honesty. Obviously, we know he wouldn't have been going here if it wasn't for Segino missing out. But I just, again, it's a price thing. He's 9.5. You know, Matchbook I have massive respect for. I think if you're concerned about the jumping, I'm not sure Cheltenham would takes any more jumping than maybe Leopardstown does, in all honesty. But he has got to cope with the old course, speed track, the undulations of all of that. And he's very, very short for that, for all that he could be very good. Loda Sud, I thought, was slightly underwhelming at Warwick the last day. I get it was a prep race, but he was hanging on fumes there late on in that race. And I just thought Django Bay is a strong traveller, good jumper, solid jumper, and the drop back in trip might work to his benefit. And he's a big enough price to be of interest.
All right. 3 grade ones in, and we've had 3 different trainers tipped up so far. That's it. But there you go. Such is Cheltenham life. Matt, don't make your case, but I do want the trend if you can. It's Matchbook who you're putting up. Why does the trend lead you to that?
The trend is that since 2008, the top rated on BHA ratings, 11 from 17, 87% profit. The best horse before hand wins a lot, and they tend to be underestimated to do so. And I think this is a really weak field against him.
Donn and Emma, between you again, just one of you, please. Speak first, whoever's strongest. Take it away. Weak. There we are. There's no confidence. No,
I'm very strong on Matchbook. I'd say he's one of the bankers of the week. For me, like he just said, it looks like a weak enough field behind him. It's a pity Sergino's not in here. Probably was going to be one of the clashes of the festival. But look, I thought he's jumping around Leopardstown. I actually think I heard Daryl Jacob discussing the difference between Leopardstown and Cheltenham fences. He said the fences in Leopardstown are actually stiffer than the ones in Cheltenham. I think the fences in Cheltenham are a bit softer, from what he was saying. And look, I think it was probably a bit of an overreaction. He kind of got in tight, but he was kind of a real kind of French style of jumping. He was really quick, kind of, even though he got in tight. I can't see anything beating him here. I'd say he's probably one of my biggest fancies of the week, even though he is quite short.
Okay, and the 1.7 1.76 Matchbook. But again, our bookmaker's very happy to take him on. 320 then. So the one now before the champion hurdle. Takes your head getting around that does. This is the mare's hurdle. Matt, come straight in with your trend and your selection, please.
Trend is that in the last 8 renewals, 5-year-olds finished 1F2 916. Potentially fascinating anti-post race here, because loads of value if you're prepared to take a view about Brighter Days Ahead and Lossiemouth and where they're running. If they do, they're both going to be huge prices. I'm taking the other strategy, and neither are going to turn up. As we've discussed, I think it's pretty unlikely Lossiemouth will now. And the one I'm interested in isn't even entered. Wadhu from last season's all-conquering juvenile crop. She unbeaten after 6 hurdle starts, won a red hot mare's handicap at Cheltenham in December. Joyous come out a £4 higher, bolted up in the big handicap at Newbury, £19 higher. Take no chances, turn Carkisi over. Royal Margot won a listed race, albeit possibly fortuitously. And Wadhu was giving Joyous £8 there. She had been given a British mark of 138. I suspect she's facing a hefty collateral form rise when the handicap weights are published tomorrow. Perhaps that's why Gordon has talked her up as a super sub for Brighter Days Ahead in this. So this is one of those unusual embryonic situations you get with the supplementary system. Very few post prices at the minute. There's a bit of 7.0 non-runner, no bet. And given she only runs if Brighter Days Ahead doesn't, and that I'm confident Lossiemouth doesn't run, you could argue she's a big price. So it's watch this space over the next few days. I could see her going off second favourite to Jay's Grugy, perhaps even favourite. So I'll be ready to hoover up the bigger prices if the pack is shuffled that way.
Calling out the after-timers in the comments. Peter said a while back, got my Constitution Hill anti-post 9.2. That's 5.5, Peter. You should know better. Running to the bank. We've just had an absolute belter. Paul Stokes, welcome along, Paul. On Matchbook, 10-1. Congratulations. You're not going to win free bets with after-timing comments like that. But thank you. Keep them coming in. If you're on a bigger price, just let us know and I'll call you out, you bunch of so-and-sos. Where are we going next? Donn, I missed you on the last one. Another seemingly decent price here.
Yeah, it's a very interesting race, the Mare's Hurdle. because as we know, Brighter Days Ahead may not run. Last Night probably won't run. As Matt said, Woodhill could be supplemented. Joyous could be supplemented as well. And Golden Ace is the option of coming here or going to the Champion Hurdle. So it's a kind of a volatile market at the moment. We know that July Flower is definitely on track for this. I think she's a really interesting mare of Henry de Bromhead. She's had 2 goes with him. She was in France and she joined Henry de Bromhead, ran in the Grade 2 Mares Bumper at Aintree and disappointed there. Then went back to Michael Serreur back in France and actually went and finished 3rd in the French Champion Hurdle. She had Irish Point and Home by Dali and Malheur Mission all behind her in that. And she's come back to Henry. She ran for Henry at the Dublin race or at the Christmas Festival at Leopardstown. And she was really good in staying on to beat Calaconte. They went at fast pace in that race. And that probably helped her because she can be a free goer. And we know that having finished 3rd in the French Champion Hurdle with 3 miles, 1.5 furlongs, she has obviously got stamina and abundance. And she did stay on really well. They bypassed the final flight that day. But she was always getting on top of Calaconte. We know Calaconte, she's a good mare too. So it was just a really good run by her. And I think Henry said quite quickly afterwards that she was going to go straight to the Mares Hurdle. And it's a strategy that Henry adopts very successfully, going straight from Christmas to Cheltenham. And I think there could be more to come from her. She's a wee bit under the radar maybe because she hasn't run since Christmas, or she was anyway. She's high in the market now. But I suppose given the uncertainty about running plans for some of her potential rivals, I think July Flower is interesting at the current price.
Robert says Matchbook 20-1 back before last year's Charter. So I'm not having that a minute. I enjoy it. Very good. Charlie, another one. We've got some variety here. Charlie Poste.
Yeah, Jay de Grugy for me. I mean, again, going on the thinking that the top 2 are gonna end up in the Champion Hurdle. She obviously got turned over in the novice here last year, but difficult to know really what to make of that race. It was a funnily run affair that Golden Ace turned her over in, but she's had the one prep run literally the other day at Punchestown. I thought she hit the line really strong. I'd say she's a very, very good horse, this. And like I say, the fact that she's, bigger than 3.0 at the moment with the other 2 in there, I thought she looked a really good bet in all honesty. Again, I think she's my best bet of the day.
All right. At a half decent price as well. 3.56. I mean, it's not an odds-on best bet. Emma, price.
Yeah, I think Calaconte is a huge price here, 29.0. In comparison to July Flower, they're fairly closely matched on form. They met the last day in Leopardstown. And like Donn was saying, look, July Flower kind of grinded her down in the end, but she was given £5 to her that day. And I think there was 4.5 lengths between them. So I just think the way the race was ran, like it was quite a strongly run pace. And Calaconte was kind of left in front from a long way from home. The last flight went out. It probably didn't help her case. She was kind of a target on her back, I suppose, for Rachel the whole way up the straight. And I just wouldn't be massively surprised to see her reversing that form at Cheltenham. Like she's a very decent filly. She was not too far off being a top class juvenile hurdler last year. Good form with Nürburgring and Cargate. She actually beat Cargate at Leopardstown at Christmas last year. Her run, even before she met July Flower, second to Amsterdam, I think she was giving him £2 that day. So, look, she's really solid. They actually managed to get her into a handicap at the start of the year off 138 or something. I don't know how the hell they managed to get that mark, considering she wasn't too far off being a Grade 1 juvenile hurdler last year. I just think at the prices, she looks way, way too big. I was actually doing a preview last week, and I heard there's kind of strong word around about her as well from the owners and things. So, look, she's just way overpriced in the market for me. I think this is probably her likely target as well. So even in the place markets, I think she's a good one to go for.
Okay, Michael, one to be against here.
I think everyone's of the opinion that Lossiemouth definitely won't run, and we all hope that Brighter Days Ahead doesn't run. It looks like we're in a competitive race. I think I'll wait for the final declarations, but I'm not really a July Flower fan at the kind of price it's going to be. I couldn't bet Cargest was stolen. Jay de Grugy looks to have an obvious chance. And the horse that Emma just mentioned, that one at a big price that could have a chance. But I'll finalise everything when I know the runners. But if July Flower or Cargest win, I won't be winning. Having said that, I do think there's actually a rare occasion here where anti-post punters might have a resemblance of value, because I think we'd all be slightly disappointed if the obvious 2, if either one of them turned up, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Echo that. At this stage, don't think they will turn up in this, which is good news. But we'll see. Any other Tuesday bets then? Remember, we've got an anti-post preview. Sorry, try again. A handicap preview coming your way next week. But obviously, other races on the day, the Ultimate, the Fred Winter National Hunt Chase. Dan, haven't heard from you for a bit. Who have you got?
No, I took a back seat. I let everyone else crack on and get to the handicaps, which is my area of speciality, at least the one I tried to look into the most. In the Ultimate, I think it's going to be a fairly weak renewal. Looking at the early entry stages, only 47 down 25 from last year. And so I think Melina Girl at a big price has to be of some interest. She's a very solid course form in the book. She won the Gibson handicap over 3.5 miles in November of last season of 135 in pretty emphatic style. And you go to the December handicap she was running in, she was tanking round when she fell 3 out. That was the race that Broadway Boy was in, 335 Protectorate. A form that worked out really well. She was running there off a mark 146. She's been very much building back slowly this season, but a real good step back in the right direction at Exeter when we last saw her, down to a mark 142, or she was at Exeter anyway. Obviously, we'll get the official weight for her tomorrow, but she's down to a very winnable mark, and I think this is quite a weak race. So at 26.0, I think she's interesting. And then the Fred Winter, another big price is Hot Fuzz at 34.0. Very talented horse on the flat, taken to hurdling quite well. He was second to East India Dock on his hurdling debut. He then won on his next start, beating a subsequent winner, and then went on to be fourth in the Grade 2 at Chepstow, where he just paid from helping to make an overly strong pace with OPEC, James Owen's front-running mare. They both went at it from quite a long way that day, or at least from what you could see of it. It was one of those days where it was completely engulfed in fog, but seemingly didn't benefit from the run style there. Only rated 122 and ran on the all-weather the other day off a mark of 88 and absolutely bolted up, beating Marble Sands, obviously 140-plus rated chaser, and was giving him £9. On his flat form, he looks pretty well handicapped off a mark 122, and he could just be a sneaky one given the kind of profile he has, but he's a massive price at 34.0.
One in the Ultimate, one in the Fred Winter, as Charlie has as well, but a different two, Charlie Poste.
Yeah, Johnny Who for the John Joe O'Neill team in the Ultimate, just a pretty obvious one. He ran well in the 3-mile handicap hurdler entry last year. He's been campaigned short of trip this time in novice chases against much stronger opposition. He was eased heavily at Windsor. He finished third of 3. He wasn't too far behind the last, and then John Joe really eased him down after the last. Looks an obvious fit this now, back up at 3 miles off his mark of 140, which I think is very workable. So I thought he was a very obvious one. And then in the Fred Winter, Willie de Huel of the Willie Mullins team, he looked, he's backed heavily as if he's going to be a Triumph hurdle horse early on. And then, he's not straightforward, but he's looked better with the hood on the last twice. And on his latest start, he wasn't beat that far in a Grade 1. Be interesting to see when the handicap weights come out tomorrow. Is it, Tom, where he's sort of positioned in that race, but he just could be a class element in that sort of contest.
Yeah, the weights is definitely tomorrow, midday. I think that is opening up. Well, I know apparently it's got one of the best ever hosts hosting the weights launch tomorrow. Emma, tying up the Fred Winter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Total Look for Gavin Cromwell. Look, he's no fancy price, I think 9.0, but he was massively eye-catching on Punchestown last time. I'd say he went into plenty of notebooks. He's been well found in the market since, but he won his maiden hurdle first time out, and I think Gavin was asked then afterwards, was he going to go for that Grade 2 juvenile hurdle that Hello Neighbour subsequently won? And you just be kind of wondering, maybe did Gavin think, maybe he's got these two good juvenile hurdles, but he split one for the Boodles and one for the Triumph. And I wouldn't be shocked if maybe that was the plan, because his maiden hurdle actually worked out quite well. Wendrock was third that day, and the second horse won as well since. Wendrock went on to beat Galileo Dame at Leopardstown at Christmas, but he went to Cheltenham after winning his maiden hurdle. He was kind of an eye-catching third that day, and then in Punchestown last time, I kind of encourage anyone to watch that race back. He was flying home off a mark of 125 in Ireland. How much he'll get in the UK will be interesting tomorrow, but if you're kind of looking for any man to lay out one in a handicap, Gavin Cromwell will be fairly high up your list. But just mentioning Wendrock there as well, I'll be keeping an eye on what mark he gets as well. I thought he was impressive when he beat Galileo Dame at Christmas, and maybe even the last day you could probably upgrade that run a small bit. I thought he was coming to the last with a bit of a chance maybe of being in the first 3, made a bad mistake which kind of knocked the stuffing out of him a small bit, but I wouldn't discount him either. Gordon Elliott has a massive record in this race. I think he's won this 4 or 5 times, so if Wendrock gets a nice mark, he could be another one at a big price as well.
I will second that. One of my definite handicap bets of the day, Wendrock. Finally, Lee, the final handicap now of the day.
Yeah, Transmission. I really like the profile. It's got shades of the Mulholland Druid's nephew, who had a sight around Cheltenham, went chasing, and then saved this mark, ran in the cleave, and the same as Transmission, ended up running in the cleave. They were both well beat, but comes here is a very strong stayer. Was second at Highland first time up there at Cheltenham. The form's working out well from the race that he won at Cheltenham as well. Moon Durange was in behind. That horse come out and won since. And we know what Highland's done. Look, he ran second there the other day off a big weight, but was second at the Jukebox Man as well. Yeah, everything's screaming a good performance. I think 10.0 on the matchbook. I think that's a fair price for Transmission. And like I say, they've done it before with a similar style route to winning the Ultima.
Matt Toombs, I'm coming at you with ground chat because there's a few people talking about it on the chat now about whether some people saying it's going to be heavy given where we've been. Some people saying it won't be worse than good to soft. Somebody's already mentioned the Norwegian weather app, which I hear so much about. Paul says, how many of the last 10 to 15 Cheltenhams have gone off soft? Do you have anything on this, Matt?
Yeah, so 15 of the first 17 this century went off on a sound surface, good or good to soft. All but one since then have gone off soft or heavy. And the only time it went off on a sound surface, when Constitution Hill won the Supreme, they watered with a monsoon forecast and they nearly had to cancel the bumper the next day. So with all the watering that goes on in the autumn as well, you have to have a pretty dry run up to the festival now to get a sound surface. So I would also be worried we could get very testing ground.
Didn't even know that I was coming to him on that. If anyone knows more about the festival than him, show me them, because that's ridiculous. Well done. Thank you. Best lays now. It's just you, Michael. If you can, genuinely, I don't want a big case, but I'd just like you to say your lay and then a line as to why. And if it's really good, we can clip it up on social and people can get after you if he wins. So, Michael Cannon, your best lay of day one.
It's a very easy question, very easy answer. Constitution Hill, only because I'm all about now form. Not what happened 2-3 years ago. Obviously, I want BDA and Lossy Mouth to turn up. But if he's odds on and they all turn up, there will be a long queue at my joint when he wins. Or if he wins, shall I say. I'm not saying he can't win, because obviously he can win. Nico could win 6-length punch in the air, papers and drinks in the air. But I just look at this. If you have a 4-horse race and they bet 6-4 and 4-1 each of 3, the 6-4 chance is the most likeliest winner, but is also unlikely to win. And that's how I look at it.
Best Tuesday bets in order in front of me. Matt, your best bet.
Matchbook, I think he's the most likely winner of the whole week.
Donn, your best bet. Coming again, Donn.
Yeah, Romeo Coolio. I think given his Cheltenham Festival form, he should be closer to Kopek de Board in the market than he is.
Charlie.
Jay de Grugy in the mares.
Oh, that's not what I had. I love it when that happens. A little shiver of excitement. I'm easily pleased. Dan.
Kopek de Board to get the festival off to a very good start.
Lee.
Yes, start the festival off as we're meant to go on. Kopek de Board.
Emma.
Majra, one of the bankers of the week.
Cheltenham Wednesday. A reminder to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Please do it now. It's the best no-cost way of supporting all of our content across all different sports and podcasts. And if you like racing, like and subscribe. It'll make it easy for you to get involved with all of our content. So please do.